Speed Champions is one of LEGO's best themes and has produced some incredible sets of some iconic vehicles. However, there are still some key cars that we need to see in this LEGO format. Hello and welcome to the top 10 LEGO Speed Champions sets we need. The rules for this list are simply that the entries must be brand new cars and not remakes of previous sets. So as much as I'd love remakes of the McLaren P1 or Mini Cooper S, those won't count for this list. So make sure you stick around until the end for number 1 and let's get into it. To start off this list, I have the Audi RS6, specifically the Avant version. Whilst this isn't the most exciting of entries, I think it's an important one to get for two reasons. First of all, every previous Audi we have had has been race cars, and whilst that is Speed Champions' focus, many other brands like Ford or Ferrari balance production order and race-built cars in the line, so why couldn't Audi do that? The other thing is that there haven't been any Speed Champions estate cars yet. Yeah, none. It's definitely a car to consider to fill a pretty broad niche that hasn't been filled yet. At number 9, I've got the BMW M1, which will be the first of many classic cars to come. Although it had a rather short lifespan and production order, this is definitely one worthy of a Speed Champions release. Compared to most BMWs, this is closer to the supercars that Speed Champions is very fond of, and is quite a distinctive looking one. We've also only had one BMW set so far in the line, just last year with the 2-pack, so expanding on that would be welcome. However, I place this model much lower because I've got another BMW coming up later that I think is more pressing for the line, so that's why this one takes 9th place. Next is the 1959 Cadillac DeVille. The famous fins that define classic American cars haven't been represented by Speed Champions yet, despite their fame. Maybe this won't be done for not exactly fitting the race car mould, but perhaps it could be done as a film tie-in car with pink Cadillac. Both the brand and that specific colour would definitely sell, even if the film wouldn't. And we're not done with the American cars yet, for our next one is the Corvette C1. That iconic curved design and bright red colour was synonymous with Route 66 in its heyday, so it's definitely a car deserving of Speed Champions make, as previous Corvettes like the C7R, C6 and Stingray have all been done previously, and this would be the next logical step. But since we've had Corvettes in the last 5 years, it's not like we're short of them, even if the over 70-year history of the car would be enough to have it done. At number 6, I've got the Mazda MX-5 or Miata in America. Japanese cars are a rarity in Speed Champions, with most of them being Fast and Furious tie-ins, and the MX-5 is one JDM car that needs to be done right now, with it being Mazda's most iconic model arguably, and it would work well as the brand's entry into the line. As for what MX-5 they should do, I thought about a 2-pack with the NA and ND models. We used to get a lot of these in Speed Champions with an old and current version of the same model. For example, the aforementioned Corvette Stingray and C7.R. These have become less common, but I still think that the concept could work here and pretty well. Just over halfway through the list now, we've got a more unusual pick, a NASCAR hauler. Back when Speed Champions first released, a Scuderia Ferrari F1 hauler was released, but the idea was never revisited. Another one of these haulers, but themed to NASCAR, could break up the usual Speed Champions fare, and could also lead the way for a Toyota Camry to complete the trinity of NASCAR models. The only drawback is that this would probably cost a lot of money, and we've already had a sort of race car hauler with LEGO City's F1 tie-in line this year. Now, there are quite a lot of car brands that Speed Champions has missed out on, but the most egregious one of all is Volkswagen. Whilst VW aren't known for their race cars, there's one performance model that they should have done by now, and that's the Golf GTI. The Golf itself has sold over 35 million units as of 2019, and has definitely sold more since. They're also being nominated for Car of the Century and being the first Speed Champions Hot Ash if it were to be released. The GTI is one LEGO should have made by now, especially as they've done VWs before in other themes like campers, or they may have done, Beetle, but I'm not entirely sure on that last one. Anyway, the GTI is paramount to get. At number 3, I have the BMW M3. This was the other BMW I mentioned in the M1 segment, and it's a far more pressing one. Much like the GTI, the most important thing is to get a LEGO representation of this said model. The BMW 3 Series is arguably the most famous Beamer of all, and the M3 is the perfect way to get this model in LEGO form, while still fitting the Speed Champions namesake, since, like Forza, the line is always focused on high performance or supercars. The runner-up is the Ford Capri. Now, alongside the Audi Quattro, this is one of my favourite cars, and having it in LEGO form would be a dream come true. I don't have a massively coherent reason as to why this is number 2, but as for more rational thoughts, it would definitely spice up the line with a different sort of sports car that the line rarely does, since outside of the supercars and actual race cars, most civilian race cars or ones like that are just muscle cars from America or still higher end models. It's definitely one that they should consider, though my main reason for not putting it at number 1, even though I would have loved to, is that it's very Eurocentric, with it being designed as a European Mustang initially. So that's why it's here at number 2 and not number 1. Now, just before we reveal the top spot, I'd like to give an honourable mention. A 2-pack of the Ford GT40 and Ferrari 330 P3. The reason I didn't put these on the main list is because the Ford GT40 was already done in 2017 with the modern GT in a 2-pack. Even so, I think this would be a fun release and would definitely coincide nicely with the anniversary of the GT40's win at Le Mans in 1966. Who knows, maybe they could even do it based on the Le Mans 66 film from 2019 and we get another Christian Bale figure and a Matt Damon one. But again, this isn't part of the list. Now, on to number 1, which is the Jaguar E-Type. An instant classic of a car, the E-Type is probably the most famous Jaguar of all time. Its vintage feel would work excellently with the James Bond Aston Martin from 2022 and would stand tall on shelves. Me personally, the dark green would be the best colour suited for this model and would absolutely complete the set. With the significance of Jaguar in the car industry, it's crucial real Jaguars get represented by speed champions such as the E-Type. And with that, we've come to the end of the list. Thank you so much for watching, and comment down below what cars you'd like to see in the Speed Champions form if you've made it to the end of the video. I think the biggest missing thing from the line at the moment is more classic cars, which you saw as a theme throughout the list. They're some of the most recognisable designs to everyday people, and yet they just don't get adapted enough in the line. It seems older cars are done under Creator Expert or Icons, as it's now called, but those come with a huge price tag compared to Speed Champions, but with a similar level of detail. So thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time.